In a fiery turn of events, Angel Reese couldn't contain her emotions after Caitlin Clark pulled off yet another jaw-dropping performance that left the basketball world buzzing. Known for her outspoken personality, Reese found herself in the spotlight once again, this time for throwing a heated fit after witnessing Clark's latest display of dominance. While Clark continues to rack up praise from experts and fans alike, the tension between the two stars seems to be boiling over. Reese's reaction has ignited fresh debate about their ongoing rivalry and the pressure that comes with being at the top of the women's game.
Caitlin Clark is a hell of a player for sure. But I don't take disrespect lightly. And she disrespected Alexis and my girls, South Carolina, they still my SEC girls too. Y'all not gonna disrespect them either. So I wanted to pick her pocket, but I had a moment at the end of the game, and I was in my bag. I was in my moment. Yeah.
Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, two of the most electric talents in women's basketball, find themselves at the heart of a growing debate. Not just for their on-court performances, but for the way they are perceived and supported by fans, experts, and the media.
After the season, and when I was in my press conference and I was talking about being sexualized, like, I guess people thought that was like because I post pictures in my bathing suits. No, like, multiple occasions people have made AI pictures of me like naked.
While both players possess undeniable skill and competitive drive, the level of support they receive is starkly different, leading to questions about fairness, bias, and the larger dynamics at play in sports. Caitlin Clark, widely celebrated for her phenomenal shooting range and court vision, has captured the hearts of basketball fans across the country.
Caitlin Clark is a hell of a player for sure. But I don't take disrespect lightly. And she disrespected Alexis and my girls, South Carolina, they still my SEC girls too. Y'all not gonna disrespect them either. So I wanted to pick her pocket, but I had a moment at the end of the game, and I was in my bag. I was in my moment. Yeah.
Whether it's her ability to pull up from anywhere on the floor or her leadership in crucial moments, Clark has cemented her status as one of the top players in the sport. Experts rave about her performances, often calling her the future of women's basketball. Her highlight reels go viral, and she is frequently described as a once-in-a-generation talent.
What's going through my mind is I need to make these 2 free throws. That's all I'm thinking about. It's just a part of basketball. It is what it is. You know, trying to make a play on the ball and get the block. But yeah, I mean, it happens. And those free throws, when you have to shoot them with nobody at the line, are kind of hard. So it's a little different than having people at the line. So I was just trying to focus on making those.
Her success story is shared with admiration, and she has developed a legion of supporters who cheer for her every move, seeing her as a symbol of hard work, skill, and composure.
Angel Reese isn't just breaking rookie records. They're breaking W records. We shouldn't hate on somebody who's actually doing her job.
This outpouring of support for Clark seems to come effortlessly. Social media is filled with praise for her. Fans flock to games to witness her brilliance, and the media amplifies her every accomplishment. Awards and recognition follow her at every turn, and her name is consistently mentioned among the greats of the game, despite still being early in her career.
This is a girl that came in and garnered more attention than others in the game. That's what happened. It's that simple. Serena told Caitlin Clark, I freaking love this, that there's no race involved. And Serena is black, okay? So here's what Serena Williams said to Caitlin Clark. No matter what other people do, if people are negative, then it's because they can't do what you do.
Bingo.
Good for you to say something like that, right?
Clark's rise to prominence has been met with enthusiasm, and her clean-cut image fits perfectly into the narrative many fans and analysts embrace. An athlete who is both a fierce competitor and an approachable, humble figure. This narrative has helped build a wave of support that seems to grow stronger with each passing game. Angel Reese, on the other hand, while equally talented, has not experienced the same level of support or adoration. Reese, who led LSU to a national championship and earned herself the nickname Bayou Barbie, is a force to be reckoned with on the court.
Splice it and cut it and make it a negative thing. The one thing that I love that she's bringing to her sport, more people want to watch. More people want to tune in. I saw for the first time that they had a chartered plane. That should be celebrated, and it's because of Caitlin Clark. Don't get it twisted. Don't get it fucked up.
Her rebounding skills, physicality, and emotional style of play have made her one of the most recognizable figures in women's basketball. Yet, despite her undeniable contributions to the game, she often finds herself under a cloud of scrutiny rather than basking in the praise she deserves. Reese's outspoken nature and unapologetic confidence have made her a polarizing figure. When she shows emotion on the court, particularly when taunting or celebrating, she is met with criticism, something that her supporters argue would not happen if it were Clark or another player in the same position.
Against Caitlin Clark, okay? They have this big game going on. Neither one of them are the best teams in the league, but she gets fouled, Caitlin Clark does, and this is how Angel Reese, who she became a champion, by the way, in college. I think she won the championship. Caitlin Clark in the championship.
Exactly, 2 years ago.
However, for whatever reason, the audience likes watching Caitlin more because she's more exciting than Angel. But watch what she says after the way she fouls Caitlin Clark. Go ahead and play this clip.
For inside, I think we were playing really hard. I think we went up really strong a lot of times and we didn't get a lot of calls. And going back and looking at the film, I've seen a lot of calls that weren't made. I guess some people got a special whistle.
While Clark's intensity is seen as passion, Reese's similar displays of emotion are often framed as unsportsmanlike or over the top. This double standard has become a major point of discussion, with many pointing out how Reese is held to a different standard than her peers, particularly when compared to Clark.
Yeah, the reason why we watching women's basketball is not just because of one person, it's because of me too, and I want y'all to realize that.
We don't get to say, well, Joe Rogan is number one and we are important too, because that's not how podcasts and competition works. You know who tells you you're good? The flipping market tells you're good.
Fans of Reese often voice their frustrations, arguing that her achievements are downplayed while Clark's are elevated. Even after leading her team to a national championship, Reese still finds herself overshadowed in media coverage by Clark's individual performances. The imbalance in how these two players are supported is glaring.
Angel Reese comes out and says, she ain't the only one everybody's watching. They're watching me too. They're watching others. A day later, she gets ejected.
Clark is frequently positioned as the star of the show, while Reese is often painted as the disruptor, the player who doesn't fit neatly into the narratives that make for easy media coverage. For Reese, the lack of universal support can feel like a slight.
And the last clip from Angel Reese, they're watching me too. They're watching me too. It's like she's begging us to believe in her validation. And so people need to see, I think history is repeating itself, and Caitlin Clark could be raising the tide and lifting all boats. And I think Angel Reese needs to take a pill.
Especially when her accomplishments are equal to or even greater than those of her peers. The way the media and fans perceive Reese versus Clark speaks to deeper issues within sports and society.
She puts herself out there, even on this podcast. Stomach out, breast barely hidden, legs front and center everywhere. She has sexualized herself. And now, I'm shocked. People are sexualizing me. And somehow she's connecting it to being a Caitlin Clark fan. I just don't see the connection. It's like everything bad that happens to me is somehow connected to Caitlin Clark. That's stupid, it's dishonest, she's just clout chasing, she's using Caitlin Clark, and then she goes, I don't think Caitlin Clark has hatred towards me. What has Caitlin Clark done to you? Nothing.
Many see the different treatment of these two players as rooted in race and gender expectations. Reese, a black woman, is often portrayed as too aggressive or too outspoken, whereas Clark, a white woman, is celebrated for her fiery competitiveness.
What does that have to do with Caitlin Clark?
Angel Reese designed herself as Barbie or whatever she did and took her clothes off for Instagram and posed and all this stuff. What happened? She claimed to be sexualized. What is that? Drama. Total drama.
The stark contrast in how they are both supported and criticized has sparked conversations about how athletes, particularly women of color, are treated in the public eye. Tensions are running high in the basketball world as Angel Reese, a powerhouse on the court, finds herself spiraling after an unexpected rejection from none other than Shaquille O'Neal. Known for her fierce determination, Reese's reaction was explosive, leaving fans and analysts stunned. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark, the rising star who's been capturing headlines, has just made a game-changing move that could redefine the future of the WNBA. As these two stories collide, the stakes have never been higher, and the impact on the sport could be monumental. What exactly happened to trigger this intense drama? Stay tuned as we unravel the explosive events that have everyone talking.
When they played LSU, but she's phenomenal. I'm going to go on the record and say she's the best female collegiate player ever.
Ever? Well, I don't know about you. You ever heard of Cheryl Miller?
Ever.
Maya Moore?
I said what I said. Ever.
Diana Taurasi?
I said what I said.
No disrespect.
Listen,
Caitlin Clark is amazing.
This is my opinion.
Candace Parker? Nobody's ever shot it like her. No, she's like Steph Curry.
What I said.
Yeah.
Listen, I ain't disrespecting nobody. It's just my opinion, and I ain't going to change it. How about that?
The world of women's basketball has been nothing short of electrifying in recent years, with new talents emerging and the competition reaching unprecedented heights. At the center of this storm are two of the most talked-about players, Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. Their rivalry, both real and perceived, has captivated fans and sparked endless debates. But behind the scenes, there's more to the story than just what happens on the court. Angel Reese, known for her fiery persona and unstoppable drive, has had her share of highs and lows, including a recent clash with NBA legend Shaquille O'Neal. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark has been making waves with her game-changing performances, leaving an indelible mark on the sport. What Shaq thinks about Reese and the ongoing debate that has everyone choosing sides. Angel Reese has always been a player who wears her emotions on her sleeve. Her intensity is one of the things that makes her such a compelling figure on the court.
Well, it was definitely what happened last year between Caitlin Clark and, Angel Reese. It was, talked about and would have liked to seen that rematch in time. But Caitlin Clark is a special player. She reminds me of a Steph Curry. A lot of times she takes those ill-advised shots that me and Chuck don't like, but they go in. Not only do they go in consistently. And the way she plays the game, she's the true definition of a great player, one that makes the players around her better. Not only was she making a great shot, she was making great passes, and she took her loss with humility. Shout out to the Iowa program. Shout out to all the female programs. Juju Watkins is a great player. Again, kudos to the women, for performing at a very, very super high level, and I'm happy for them. I'm happy for women's college basketball.
Me too.
It was very exciting.
From the moment she steps onto the hardwood, you can see the fire in her eyes, the determination to prove herself, and the desire to win at all costs. Reese's passion has earned her a legion of fans, but it's also made her a polarizing figure. Some see her as the embodiment of what it means to be a competitor, while others think she's too emotional, too volatile. But for Reese, it's all part of the game. When it comes to Caitlin Clark, Reese has always had a mix of respect and rivalry. Clark, with her impressive shooting ability and court vision, is a different type of player than Reese. Where Reese is all about power and aggression, Clark is more about finesse and precision. Reese knows that Clark is a formidable opponent, and she's never been one to shy away from acknowledging her talent. However, there's also a part of Reese that feels overshadowed by the praise Clark receives. In Reese's mind, there's an ongoing battle, not just on the court, but in the court of public opinion. Clark's rise has been meteoric. Her performances have been nothing short of spectacular, and she's quickly become one of the most talked about players in the game.
Caitlin Clark is a hell of a player for sure. But I don't take disrespect lightly. And she disrespected Alexis and my girls. South Carolina, they still my SEC girls too. Y'all not gonna disrespect them either. So I wanted to pick her pocket, but I had a moment at the end of the game, and I was in my bag. I was in my moment. Yeah.
Fans love her for her calm demeanor, her ability to stay cool under pressure, and her knack for delivering in clutch moments. But for Reese, Clark's success is a double-edged sword. On one hand, she recognizes that Clark's talent is undeniable, and she respects her for what she's accomplished. On the other hand, Reese can't help but feel that the constant comparisons between them are unfair. Reese has often found herself frustrated by the way the media and fans pit her against Clark. While she understands that comparisons are inevitable in sports, she feels that the narrative often overlooks the unique strengths she brings to the table. Reese is a dominant force in her own right, with a style of play that's unmatched by anyone else. Yet, she often feels that her contributions are undervalued in favor of Clark's more traditional, textbook approach to the game. This frustration came to a head recently when Shaquille O'Neal, one of the most influential figures in basketball, made comments that seemed to downplay Reese's impact. Shaq, who has always been known for his blunt opinions, praised Clark for her game-changing abilities, suggesting that she was the future of women's basketball.
Critique these guys, these youngsters and these females, they don't understand that all the stuff that they're getting ready to go through, we are the masters of that. So I was just, telling her how to handle adversity, how to handle, controversy. And, with a person like her, you don't really want to come and say, do this and do that. I was just coming and, giving her encouraging words, just telling her, to hang in there. Because when you're the best player and you play for a great coach like Kim Mulkey, they stay on you.
While he didn't outright dismiss Reese, his words carried a weight that was hard for her to ignore. For Reese, it felt like a rejection, not just of her skills, but of everything she's fought for throughout her career. Shaq's opinion matters. He's a four-time NBA champion, a Hall of Famer, and a respected voice in the sport. When he speaks, people listen. So when he appeared to side with Clark in the ongoing debate, it sent a clear message that didn't sit well with Reese. She's always seen herself as a player who breaks the mold, who brings something different to the game. To have that seemingly overlooked by someone as influential as Shaq was a blow. Reese's reaction was swift and intense. In true Angel Reese fashion, she didn't hold back. She expressed her disappointment, not just in Shaq's comments, but in what she sees as a broader pattern of being underestimated and undervalued. For Reese, this isn't just about one comment from Shaq. It's about a lifetime of having to prove herself over and over again. It's about fighting against the stereotypes and the expectations that have been placed on her, and the feeling that no matter what she does, it's never enough. The debate between Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark has now taken on a life of its own, fueled by comments from players, analysts, and fans alike. On one side are those who believe that Clark represents the future of the sport, a player who combines skill, intelligence, and poise in a way that few others can. As the stories of Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark continue to unfold, it's clear that we're witnessing two athletes who are both changing the game in their own unique ways. While the debates and comparisons may persist, what's undeniable is the impact each of them is having on women's basketball. Angel Reese's fiery spirit and Caitlin Clark's calculated precision represent two different yet equally compelling approaches to the sport. Both are pushing the boundaries, challenging expectations, and inspiring countless fans and future players alike. In the end, it's not about choosing sides or deciding who's better. it's about appreciating the richness that both of these athletes bring to the game. Their impact goes beyond the court, resonating with anyone who loves the game and appreciates the passion and dedication it takes to reach the top. In a jaw-dropping turn of events, Angel Reese, the star forward, known for her fierce competitiveness on the court, found herself on the receiving end of a harsh reality check. After a series of critiques from experts, her composure unraveled in a moment that stunned fans and critics alike. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark, the rising phenom, has just delivered a performance that sent shockwaves through the basketball world, leaving everyone speechless. What exactly happened to cause such a dramatic fallout? Stay tuned as we dive into the details of this explosive showdown.
Unapologetically Angel. It's part of Playmakers Network of podcasts from Shaquille O'Neal. On the debut episode, co-host Reese, who is Angel's cousin, asked her to address her feelings about rival Indiana Fever's Caitlin Clark and the Fever's fan base. Take a look at what Angel Reese had to say about that. Quote, Caitlin Clark fans, the Iowa fans, now the Indiana fans, I think there's a lot of racism when it comes to it, and I don't believe she stands on any of that. But when it comes to death threats, like, I'm talking about people who have come down to my address, following me home. Multiple occasions, people have made AI pictures of me naked, literally. They've sent it to my family members. It sucks to see that, and it's really hard that I have to go through that, end quote. If Angel Reese was older, I would have gotten on her about what she just said.
The basketball world has always been a place where talent, tenacity, and sheer willpower collide, creating narratives that both inspire and divide fans. Recently, the debate between Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark has reached a fever pitch, pulling fans, analysts, and even casual observers into a heated conversation that goes far beyond the court.
Ladies and gentlemen, I love Caitlin Clark. She's been a guest on this show. I think she's spectacular. I'm the one that's been calling her the Steph Curry of women's basketball, and she has done nothing to push that back. I mean, this young lady is spectacular. She's been great for women's basketball overall, not just college basketball, but women's basketball. I think she has the potential, when all is said and done, to be arguably the greatest ever, because when you have that kind of range and that kind of handle, and you can pull up from the parking lot like Steph Curry, for crying out loud.
Angel Reese, a dominant force known for her powerful presence and relentless drive, has been a standout player since her high school days. Her journey to stardom was marked by impressive performances, numerous accolades, and a reputation as one of the most formidable competitors in the game. On the court, she's a beast, fighting for every rebound, challenging every shot, and pushing her team to victory time and again. Off the court, Reese has carried herself with a confidence that's not just earned, but necessary in a sport where female athletes often fight for respect on a daily basis. But with visibility comes scrutiny, and Reese has found herself under a microscope.
Because you're at a decisive advantage, Angel Reese. You're at a decisive advantage because they made the mistake of letting you know who they are, whoever those people are. And now you have perfect justification for keeping people at bay and not letting people too close where they could potentially hurt you. It's something most people usually learn when they get older. You learned it younger, which is a beautiful, beautiful thing. You're at an advantage. As for the Caitlin Clark fans she was alluding to, she ain't lying. It's not all, it's not most. A lot of them are fun-loving. A lot of them are great fans. A lot of them are great, great people. But some of them are racist. Some of them don't want Angel Reese to be the one coming at her, and they use ethnicity as the rationale behind it. Again, very few compared to the many who wouldn't do that. But it is that kind of hate. I've seen it for years. I saw it when Allen Iverson was playing, and I was covering him every day.
Recent games saw her falter, something that rarely happens to a player of her caliber. The pressure was immense, the expectations even higher, and for a moment, it seemed like the weight of it all might be too much. Experts were quick to point out her flaws, dissecting every missed shot, every turnover, every moment where she didn't live up to her usual standard. Criticism, especially at this level, is brutal. It's not just about pointing out mistakes. It's about questioning a player's character, their resilience, their worth. Angel Reese's reaction was raw, unfiltered, and intensely human.
Caitlin Clark is a hell of a player for sure. But I don't take disrespect lightly. And she disrespected Alexis and my girls. South Carolina, they still my SEC girls too. Y'all not gonna disrespect them either. So I wanted to pick her pocket, but I had a moment at the end of the game, and I was in my bag. I was in my moment. Yeah.
She didn't hide her frustration, and in doing so, she opened herself up to even more criticism. For some, her outburst was a sign of weakness, proof that she wasn't as mentally tough as everyone believed. For others, it was a relatable moment, a reminder that even the best among us have breaking points. The conversation quickly polarized, with fans and pundits taking sides, debating whether Reese's reaction was justified or if it marked the beginning of her decline. In the midst of all this, Caitlin Clark was making headlines of her own.
Angel Reese following you around, pointing to her ring finger and taunting you?
Honestly, I have no idea. I was just trying to get to the handshake line and shake hands and, be grateful that my team was in that position. That's all you can do is, hold your head high, be proud of what you did, and, all the credit in the world to LSU. They were tremendous. They deserve it. They had a tremendous season.
Clark, a player whose talent seems to grow with every game, was the epitome of cool under pressure. While Reese was struggling, Clark was thriving, delivering performances that left audiences in awe. Her ability to control the pace of the game, to seemingly score at will, and to make her teammates better in the process was something that even the harshest critics couldn't ignore. Clark's rise has been meteoric, and with every game, she's proving that she belongs in the conversation as one of the best players in the country.
They saw it when Michael Jordan was on the come up. LeBron James, need I remind y'all, had racial epithets spray painted on his home in Brentwood, California, just a few years ago. This ain't new. We want to act like it's new. We want to act like we're this race-less society, that people ain't thinking about that. Most decent, God-fearing, loving people ain't thinking like that. But there's quite enough people who are far from that, who live on that kind of vitriol and hatred. And some of them, not most, not all, some of them have been Caitlin Clark fans coming at Angel Reese. All she stated was the obvious, plain and simple.
As the dust settles on this intense debate between Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, it's clear that this moment in women's basketball is about more than just comparing two standout athletes. It's a reflection of the broader conversations happening in sports and society at large about how we define greatness, how we respond to adversity, and how we support our heroes when they're at their highest and lowest points. Both Reese and Clark have shown us that there's no single path to success. One thrives on raw emotion and passion, while the other embodies calm precision and consistency. The contrasting ways in which they approach the game have sparked conversations that extend far beyond the court.
Caitlin Clark is box office. She is a star. And Angel Reese is to be completely believed that there's no hate. They both get along. They're cool with each other. They're high-end competitors, etc., etc. But you've known they were coming for you when you were waving your hands in your face to mock Caitlin Clark when you were beating her for the national championship. And you also are old enough to know that in this society, whether they want to admit it or not, they don't like seeing somebody black coming at somebody white who is a beloved star of theirs. That's not the case with all. It's not the case with most. But those who screech the loudest get the most attention sometimes.
So, whether you find yourself rooting for Reese's fiery passion or Clark's composed brilliance, one thing is undeniable. Women's basketball has never been more thrilling, and the future has never looked brighter. Stephen A. Smith has recently sparked a heated debate with his latest commentary on Angel Reese and the WNBA. The outspoken sports analyst criticized Reese for what he described as stat padding, questioning the authenticity and integrity of her performances. Smith also took aim at the WNBA, accusing the league of overreacting and throwing a tantrum over Caitlin Clark's success and visibility. His remarks have ignited a firestorm of controversy, with fans and analysts weighing in on the legitimacy of his claims and the broader implications for both Reese and the league.
Unapologetically Angel. It's part of Playmakers Network of podcasts from Shaquille O'Neal. On the debut episode, co-host Maya Reese, who is Angel's cousin, asked her to address her feelings about rival Indiana Fever's Caitlin Clark and the Fever's fan base. Take a look at what Angel Reese had to say about that. Quote, Caitlin Clark fans, the Iowa fans, now the Indiana fans, I think there's a lot of racism when it comes to it, and I don't believe she stands on any of that. But when it comes to death threats, like I'm talking about people who have come down to my address, following me home, multiple occasions, people have made AI pictures of me naked, literally. They've sent it to my family members. It sucks to see that, and it's really hard that I have to go through that, end quote. If Angel Reese was older, I would have gotten on her about what she just said.
Stephen A. Smith, a prominent and often controversial sports commentator, has recently ignited a major debate within the sports world with his critiques of Angel Reese and the WNBA. Known for his provocative and sometimes polarizing opinions, Smith's recent remarks have stirred significant controversy, focusing on what he perceives as stat padding by Reese and an alleged overreaction by the WNBA to Caitlin Clark's rising prominence. His comments have sparked a broader discussion about the authenticity of athletic achievements, the role of media in shaping public perceptions, and the dynamics within women's basketball. Smith's critique of Reese revolves around the idea that her statistics may have been inflated by factors such as the level of competition or the context in which they were achieved. He argued that Reese's performances, while notable, were sometimes against weaker opponents or in situations where her numbers were artificially enhanced. According to Smith, this approach undermines the credibility of her achievements and skews public perception of her abilities. This perspective has been met with a range of reactions, from staunch defense of Reese's achievements to criticism of Smith's approach. Supporters of Angel Reese have strongly defended her against Smith's accusations. They argue that her statistical successes are a testament to her skill, hard work, and significant contributions to her team's success. Reese's performances have been consistently strong throughout her college career, and many see her accomplishments as a reflection of her talent and dedication. Critics of Smith's comments view his remarks as an attempt to diminish the significance of Reese's achievements and overlook the effort required to excel at such a high level. In addition to his comments on Reese, Stephen A. Smith has also directed his criticism towards the WNBA. His remarks focused on what he perceived as the league's disproportionate reaction to Caitlin Clark's rise to prominence. Clark, a standout guard for the Iowa Hawkeyes, has gained considerable attention for her exceptional performances and leadership on the court. Her visibility and success have brought a new level of recognition to women's college basketball. Smith's critique of the WNBA centered on the league's response to Clark's success, which he described as an overreaction. He suggested that the WNBA's response was akin to a tantrum, reflecting underlying insecurities or biases within the league. According to Smith, the WNBA's focus on Clark's achievements and the attention she was receiving seemed to be an attempt to downplay Clark's impact and assert the league's own significance. The backlash against Smith's comments about the WNBA was significant. Supporters of the league and Caitlin Clark argued that Smith's remarks were unfounded and unfair. They contended that Clark's success was well-deserved and that the WNBA should focus on celebrating and supporting emerging talents rather than engaging in internal disputes. For many, Smith's comments appeared to undermine the positive momentum and recognition that Clark and other players were bringing to women's basketball. The controversy surrounding Smith's commentary has sparked a broader discussion about the role of media in shaping public perceptions of athletes and the dynamics within women's basketball. Critics of Smith's approach argue that his focus on controversy and conflict detracts from meaningful discussions about the growth and development of the sport. They suggest that sensationalism and provocative statements can overshadow genuine analysis and respect for athletes. The debate also raises important questions about how success and performance are measured and recognized in sports. Angel Reese's statistical achievements and Caitlin Clark's rise to prominence are both significant milestones in women's basketball. The discussion around these issues highlights the complexities of evaluating and appreciating athletic performance, especially in a landscape where gender and media representation can influence perceptions. In addition to the specific controversies involving Reese and Clark, the broader conversation touches on issues of respect and professionalism in sports. The behavior and statements of media figures, like Stephen A. Smith, can have a significant impact on how athletes are perceived and how their achievements are valued. The controversy surrounding Smith's comments serves as a reminder of the need for thoughtful and respectful dialogue, both within the media and among fans. The ongoing debate also highlights the challenges faced by women's sports in gaining recognition and respect. Women's basketball, in particular, has historically struggled for visibility and appreciation compared to its male counterparts. The success of players like Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark represents a significant step forward for the sport, and the focus should be on celebrating and supporting these achievements rather than engaging in divisive disputes. As the controversy continues to unfold, it remains to be seen how it will impact the broader discourse around women's basketball and the role of media figures in shaping public opinion. The discussions raised by Smith's comments may influence future interactions and set new standards for how athletes and their accomplishments are discussed and evaluated. In conclusion, Stephen A. Smith's recent commentary on Angel Reese and the WNBA has ignited a significant debate about authenticity, performance, and media representation in women's basketball. The debate ignited by Stephen A. Smith's remarks on Angel Reese and the WNBA has not only stirred intense discussions among fans and analysts, but also highlights deeper issues within the sports media landscape. As Smith's critique resonates through the world of women's basketball, it opens up a broader conversation about the intersection of media influence, athlete performance, and the evolving standards of sportsmanship and professionalism. Stephen A. Smith's comments about Angel Reese's alleged stat padding have been particularly controversial. Reese's statistical achievements, which include impressive scoring averages, rebounds, and defensive metrics, have been a significant factor in her success and recognition. Smith's assertion that these statistics might be padded suggests a skepticism about the context in which these numbers were achieved. He has implied that the quality of the opposition and the circumstances under which Reese accumulated her stats might not fully reflect her abilities or the legitimacy of her achievements. This perspective has sparked a vigorous defense of Reese from various quarters. Advocates argue that questioning the validity of her statistics undermines the hard work and skill she has demonstrated throughout her career. They point out that Reese has faced a range of opponents and has performed consistently at a high level, suggesting that her achievements are the result of genuine talent and dedication rather than inflated numbers. Caitlin Clark has made history in a way that's grabbing headlines across the sports world. In her burgeoning career, Clark has set new benchmarks in scoring that rival some of the most legendary figures in basketball, including Michael Jordan. Her record-breaking performances have set new standards for excellence in the WNBA and women's college basketball, reshaping perceptions and expectations in the sport. Clark's recent achievements, such as becoming the first player to score 1,000 points in a single season in college basketball or surpassing Jordan's single-season scoring records, have not only cemented her place in the annals of basketball history, but also highlighted the increasing prominence and competitiveness of the women's game. This groundbreaking moment is poised to shift the landscape of professional basketball and elevate the WNBA's profile on a global stage. Let's explore how Caitlin Clark's remarkable accomplishments are making waves and what this means for the future of the WNBA.
When they played LSU, but she's phenomenal. I'm going to go on the record and say she's the best female collegiate player ever.
Ever?
Well,
I don't know about you. You ever heard of Cheryl Miller?
Ever.
Maya Moore?
Yeah, I said what I said. Ever.
Diana Taurasi?
I said what I said.
No disrespect.
Listen,
Caitlin Clark is amazing.
This is my opinion.
Candace Parker? Nobody's ever shot it like her. No, she's like Steph
said
Curry.
What I said.
Yeah, you're right.
Listen, I ain't disrespecting nobody. It's just my opinion, and I ain't going to change it. How about that?
Caitlin Clark's recent accomplishments on the basketball court have set a new precedent.